Your attorney hasn't screamed or yelled once during the course of trial. What's wrong with him? What could possibly be wrong with him? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. So now you've decided to bring a lawsuit. Maybe you brought a medical malpractice lawsuit against your doctor claiming that he was careless and his carelessness was a cause of your injury. And now you have a medical expert who supports that claim, that number one, your doctor was careless, number two, that his carelessness was a cause of your injury, and number three, that your injury is significant or permanent. So now you've brought a lawsuit. And now, here's what happens. Your lawsuit takes 2 to 3 years to get to trial. You should know that the defense, the doctor whom you sued, denies and defends the case vigorously. He says, listen, I did nothing wrong. And even if I did something wrong, guess what? So did you. And then he says, as another defense, hey, listen, if I did something wrong and you did something wrong, well, you know what? Whatever I did or didn't do didn't really cause your problem. So, and that's not enough. So now there's another defense that they add. Hey, listen, I did nothing wrong. But if I did something wrong and you did something wrong and I did cause or contribute to your injuries, well, guess what? Your injuries really are not as bad as you claim them to be. So what do? Well, in all likelihood, in this instance, you'll have no choice but to go to trial. And that means fighting this case tooth and nail. The defense will fight you every single step of the way. They're not going to give in on anything unless it's so clear-cut and so obvious. So it takes you 2 to 3 years to finally get to trial. And you have this perception in your mind. You have this understanding, this expectation about how trials operate in New York or wherever it is that you are, based upon TV dramas, courtroom dramas, based upon movies that you've watched. You have this perception of actually what happens, what an attorney does during the course of trial. So now you get to trial. And now it's time for your lawyer, the best lawyer you could hire, to go ahead and do what? To cross-examine witnesses. He's now going to cross-examine the defense's witnesses. And you know that cross-examination is the high point. It is the best thing. It's the most exciting high point of any trial. And now, what's the attorney going to do? You expect him to be hard-hitting and aggressive and nasty and obnoxious over and over and over again, to turn their witnesses into quivering blobs of jello. That's what you expect. That's what you anticipate. But it turns out that the reality is something totally different. And you are going crazy. You are the litigant. You're sitting in the back of the courtroom watching the entire proceeding. And now there's a medical expert on the witness stand. The defense put on a medical expert to dispute each of your claims. And guess what? Now your attorney gets up. It's the high point of the entire trial. He goes to cross-examine the witness. And now he doesn't scream once. He doesn't yell once. What does he do? He's very polite. He's very respectful. He's very kind. He's kind to the opposing expert. And you're thinking to yourself, how is this possible? How could this possibly be? That's impossible. An attorney is supposed to be hard-hitting and aggressive and nasty and obnoxious and to be able to knock the witness out with words. And you don't see any of that. It's not what you expected. And you're getting angrier and angrier watching this entire episode unfold. Finally, during a break, during cross-examination, you pull your attorney over and you say to him in a whisper, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you yelling? Why aren't you being aggressive? Why aren't you being nasty and obnoxious? And he turns to you and he says, that's just not me. I don't have that personality. And that doesn't work for me. It works for some attorneys, and for some attorneys it works really well. But the reality is, for your attorney in this instance, it doesn't work at all. And so now it's a problem. That's a problem for you. Why? Because you have different expectations. You expect that the attorney is going to act a certain way based upon your previous experience of watching courtroom TV dramas, of watching movies that have dramas involving courtroom scenes. And now you anticipate that this attorney, your attorney, was going to do the exact same thing. But you're shocked to see that he doesn't. And now you're wondering, how effective is this attorney? And now you're beginning to doubt and wonder whether or not this really is the right attorney for you. Well, you have a problem. The problem is that now you're stuck because you're in the middle of trial. You can't change your attorney because he's in the thick of it, right? You can't find somebody else who's going to be willing to take over your case at that moment because your attorney has spent years involving himself in your particular case. So now, what's the problem? The problem is not with your attorney, because your attorney may get great results using the techniques and strategies that he particularly uses. So what's interesting about this? What's interesting is that the problem is not with your attorney. The problem is with you. Why? Because of your expectation, because of your understanding, because of your anticipation of what exactly an attorney... Hey, Michael, how are you? Nice to see you. I love that. Best Cross-Examination of Vinnie Gambini. One of my favorite all-time movies, My Cousin Vinny. Great, great movie. So the expectation, the anticipation of what you, the litigant, had may be totally different from the reality of what actually occurs. So you may want to have a conversation if your case has not yet gone to trial, or if you're looking for the right attorney for you. You may want to have a conversation with the attorney about how they approach trial, how they approach cross-examination, because their reality may be entirely different than your expectation. And you know what? As long as your expectations are understood and you understand the differences between going into court in real life compared to what you see on TV or in the movies, then you will have an entirely different look. Andy, how are you? Nice to see you. Hope you're nice and warm today. Then your expectations will be managed and you'll have a better perception of exactly what it means to go into court and now try your case in front of 6 members of the community to decide whether you are more likely right than wrong. So why do I share this great information today? I share it with you just to give you an inside look at what happens in these types of cases, civil cases, involving accident matters and wrongful death matters and medical malpractice matters here in New York. You know, as always, I understand that you have questions or concerns about your own particular matter. Well, if your matter did happen here in New York and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit, but haven't done so yet because you still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. I can answer your legal questions. You know, this is something I do every single day, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. Everyone, I hope you have a great St. Patrick's Day. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.